Your phone buzzes. Your hand moves before your brain even decides to move it. You feel it in your chest before you even look at the screen. But the real answer for why you do this is far stranger than notifications or apps or dopamine loops built by engineers in California. Your body still thinks it is the Stone Age, not metaphorically, actually. The nervous system running your life right now was not built for offices or traffic or group chats. It was built on the African savanna, tuned by hundreds of thousands of years of a single, brutal filter. Survive today or don't get it tomorrow. That filter did not care about happiness. It cared about staying alive long enough to pass on genes. And it worked so well that it never got updated. You are walking around with hardware from 300,000 years ago, running software written yesterday. Here is where it gets strange. For over 99% of human existence, we lived as small bands of hunter-gatherers, 20, maybe 50 people. No agriculture, no permanent homes, no refrigerators, no streetlights, no locks on doors. Every single day carried a real chance of not surviving until dark. A snake in the grass, a predator in the tree line, a rival group over the next ridge. Starvation if the hunt failed 3 days running. So evolution built you a threat detector, fast, automatic, impossible to switch off. The biologist Robert Sapolsky spent decades studying stress in primates, and his research on baboons in Kenya found something unsettling. The same stress response that once saved your ancestors from a lion now fires for an email from your boss. Your heart doesn't know the difference. Your body still floods with cortisol. Your muscles still tense, ready to run from something that isn't actually there. Why would your body do that to you? Because for almost the entire history of your species, a slow threat detector was a dead one. Better to flinch at a stick that might be a snake 1,000 times than to miss the one time it actually was a snake. This is called negativity bias, and it explains why one bad comment on a video ruins your whole day, while 100 kind ones barely register. Your brain isn't broken, it's ancient. Now think about food. You crave sugar, you crave fat, you crave salt. Not because you are weak, but because for your ancestors, calories were never guaranteed. A ripe fruit, a piece of honeycomb, a fatty cut of meat. These were rare windfalls in a world of scarcity, and the humans who felt intense pleasure eating them were the ones who ate enough to survive lean seasons. Anthropologist Daniel Lieberman, who has spent his career at Harvard studying human evolutionary biology, calls this a mismatch. The craving is Stone Age. The environment is not. You are not surrounded by scarcity anymore. You are surrounded by a gas station on every corner, shelves built by food scientists specifically to trigger that same ancient reward system. Your body still reacts like it just found a beehive in the forest. Except now the beehive is open 24 hours a day, and it never runs out. Here is the twist, though. It isn't just food and fear. It's connection. Anthropologist Herman Poncer studied the Hadza, one of the last hunter-gatherer groups on Earth, still living in Tanzania much the way humans did for millennia. Despite walking for miles a day and living without modern medicine, the Hadza showed remarkably low rates of the chronic diseases that plague industrialized societies: heart disease, obesity, anxiety disorders. Their bodies burned roughly the same total energy as ours. What differed wasn't effort. It was rhythm. Movement spread through the day. Constant physical contact with a small, known group. Nights that ended when the fire died down, not when a screen finally got put away. For your ancestors, being cut off from the group wasn't an inconvenience. It was a death sentence. Alone, you couldn't watch for predators while you slept. Alone, you couldn't share a kill or be shared with when your own hunt failed. So evolution built social pain to feel almost identical to physical pain. Being ignored, being excluded, being left on red. Your brain registers it in some of the same regions that light up from a broken bone. That is why a single unanswered text can sit in your chest for hours. It's not dramatic. It's ancestral. So here is the modern mirror, the part that should feel uncomfortable, because it explains almost everything about how you live now. You scroll at night because your ancestors' brains were wired to seek novelty, since new information, a new berry patch, a new trail, could mean the difference between surviving winter and starving through it. Now that same hunger for novelty gets fed by an infinite feed that never runs out and never satisfies. You feel anxious in silence because for hundreds of thousands of years, silence in the wild meant something was wrong. Predators went quiet before they struck. Now you fill every silence with noise, a podcast, a show, anything, because some ancient part of you still expects a threat behind the quiet. You feel exhausted despite sitting at a desk all day because your body was built to move for hours across open land, not to sit still while your mind runs in circles. Stillness without release is not what you were built for. Chronic, low-grade stress, the kind from deadlines instead of predators, has nowhere to go, so it lives in your shoulders, your jaw, your gut. Even the way you form habits comes from this. Your ancestors' brains rewarded repeated, effective behavior because doing the same successful thing again, checking the same watering hole, using the same hunting technique, kept them alive. That reward loop still runs today. It just got hijacked. Apps are designed by people who understand exactly how that ancient reward circuit works, and they built products that trigger it on purpose, dozens of times a day, far more often than any Stone Age environment ever could. None of this means you are weak, or lazy, or broken. It means you are, biologically, still a hunter-gatherer, dropped into a world your body has no evolutionary memory of. The mismatch isn't a flaw in you. It's a gap between two timelines, one that moves at the speed of biology and one that moves at the speed of technology. Biology has had 300,000 years. Technology has had about 30. Understanding this doesn't erase the craving or the anxiety or the ache of a silent phone, but it does something else. It gives you permission to stop blaming yourself for reactions that were, for most of human history, exactly the right ones to have. Your phone buzzes again. Your hand moves before you decide. But now you know what's really moving. It isn't the notification. It's 300,000 years of a body that never stopped listening for the sound of something in the grass.